This is an ongoing master project, and we are presenting the parts that we have so far. Here is my study. The title of my project: a lesson model for the teaching of Turkish verbal participles via the pedagogical grammar. And
can I just interrupt 1 second? Oh yeah, sorry. I wanted to ask you to turn your video on so that we can also see you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And I will say again, a lesson model for the teaching of Turkish verbal participles via the pedagogical grammar. It's my project's title. And who are we? I live in Istanbul, Turkey, and I am a master's student at Yıldız Technical University, Department of Turkish Education.
Hi everyone, I am again Istanbul. I'm from Istanbul, and we work in the same department with Ömer, and Ömer is presenting our master project. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Today's agenda is what is the problem of my research and my research questions, my theoretical framework and course model, findings and results. The problem is, although the constructivist approach has been on the agenda in Turkey since 80s, it cannot be applied to grammar teaching due to the scarcity of proper lesson models. This causes students not to learn grammar topics appropriately. It's known that grammar teaching in mother tongue education is a complicated, complex, and problematic field. In secondary schools, grammar teaching is mostly handled as a separate course independent of language skills. Moreover, grammar teaching is carried out through direct expression and using the question-answer technique, while deductive understanding is used as an approach. And in addition, according to various teacher and student opinions, verbal participles are one of the most difficult subjects to comprehend. There hasn't yet been a study in the literature on the teaching of verbal participles with a different grammar approach and a different lesson model than the traditional lecture method. Aside from this, there is not yet a common opinion in the literature even on the nomenclature of verbal participles. The aim of this study is to propose a lesson model suggesting that verbal participles, one of the most complex topics of grammar teaching in mother tongue education, can be taught more effectively and more permanently with activities designed in accordance with the PACE lesson model based on the pedagogical grammar approach. In addition, it's aimed to present an alternative model and a set of sample activities that Turkish teachers can benefit from when they want to teach verbal participles in their own lessons. Objectives of the research. How are the activities developed with the PACE model for teaching verbal participles? And what is the applicability of the activities developed with the PACE model for teaching verbal participles? And what is pedagogical grammar? According to Navy, pedagogical grammar refers to the use of grammatical explanations, materials, and activities aimed at facilitating the learning of a foreign language. The researcher perceives pedagogical grammar as a process that promotes learning through appropriate methods involving both the learner and the teacher. The main tasks of pedagogical grammar, as outlined by Navy, are as follows. Establishing grammatical objectives for a curriculum, school textbook, course, or teaching plan. Facilitating the discovery of grammatical rules by learners through explanation and activities. Setting learning goals for the process through specific activities and events. Designing exercises and activities for students to practice grammar. Assessing students' grammar skills through testing. These tasks highlight the role of pedagogical grammar in guiding language learning and providing structured support for learners to develop their grammatical competence. And the PACE lesson model. Adair, Haq, and Donato have developed a lesson model called PACE, which is based on the pedagogical grammar approach. PACE stands for the 4 stages of the model: P for presentation, A for attention, C for co-construct, and E for extension activities. In the PACE model, learners focus on the target grammatical form and explore grammar within authentic story context. While initially designed for second language teaching, the model is rooted in the concept of teaching the target grammatical form through discussions, Consequently, it's our belief that the PACE model can also be applied to teaching the target grammatical form in the first language teaching. And presentation stage. At this stage, the teacher narrates a national and cultural fantasy story. In this story, the target grammar form is frequently repeated. During the narration, students can engage in role-playing. The most crucial point of this stage is the natural repetition of the target grammar form. And attention stage. The aim at this stage is to conspicuously establish awareness of the previously repeated target grammar form. Various activities can be carried out for this purpose, including engaging in discussions through questions related to the narrated story. And co-construct stage. At this stage, the aim is to develop a shared explanation regarding the target grammar form. The grammar explanation is collaboratively constructed through discussions between the teacher and the students. Group discussion techniques can be employed along with various activities. The key focus of this stage is to activate higher order cognitive skills and foster the creation of a shared understanding of the grammar explanation. And extension activities. This final stage aims for students to reproduce the target grammar form they have acquired. Various activities can be implemented to provide students with opportunities to use their grammar skills, such as out-of-class activities or conducting interviews. During this stage, the teacher provides feedback and helps fill in any gaps in learning. This stage represents the phase where learning becomes more permanent. Here is our methodology. In this study, the design-based activity development method was employed. Furthermore, expert opinions were gathered through a semi-structured interview format as the data collection tool. The data were analyzed using content analysis. Aligned with the study, a total of 20 activities were designed following the PACE lesson model. 2 distinct interview forms were created for these activities, one targeting academicians and the other targeting Turkish teachers. The appropriateness of the interview form questions was assessed through the input of 2 experts. To evaluate the designed activities, expert opinions were sought from 10 academicians who specialize in Turkish language education across 9 different universities in Turkey. Additionally, the perspectives of 10 Turkish teachers with more than 5 years of teaching experience were also obtained. And here is my sample lesson model. And a lesson model aimed at teaching adverbial verbs. You can see here class 8th grade, also duration 12 lessons hours, and subject adverbials, and teaching techniques, materials, and tools used: animation, worksheets, whiteboard, smartboard, debate, and snowball activity. In sample lesson model presentation stage, in this stage, the teacher orally narrates a fantasy story that frequently repeats the chosen target grammar form. Meanwhile, selected or volunteer students engage in role-playing. Students are encouraged to take notes on the recurring form during narration. And this text is a translation of Turkish mythology called Ak-Ene, and below is a part of the story. The emphasized forms in red, erek, and arak represent the target grammar form. You can see target grammar form in red. And attention stage. During the attention stage, I draw attention to the target form by utilizing a widely recognized song in Turkey that extensively repeats the form. And the teacher plays the song twice to whole class using the smartboard. During the playback, the teacher expresses the expectation for the class to accompany to the chorus as much as possible. After the song ends, the class is asked about which form was frequently repeated in the song. Once the correct answer is received, the teacher confirms the repeated form and moves on to the co-construction stage. And this stage, the teacher shares the following questions with the class. Why might we have emphasized the erek-arak form? In your opinion, what function does the erek-arak form serve, and what meaning does it add to the root? If you think carefully, both in the story and in the song, the erek-arak form has established a strong connection with the verb. How would you explain this situation? Can you relate this form to the adverbials topic you learned in previous years? After posing these questions, the teacher introduces the circle discussion technique to the class and instructs them to discuss the questions in groups using this technique. Each group shares their opinions with the class after the discussion, and the teacher fosters a classroom environment for further debate. Through the discussion, a common understanding is reached. The teacher presents the topic of adverbial verb forms without delving into unnecessary details and concludes the activity. And last stage in extension activities, I have designed 3 extension activities. In one of them, a debate is conducted to discuss whether verbal participles should be taught in schools. In another activity, the connective function of adverbial verb forms is highlighted through conducting interviews with people on the street. In the last activity, the relationship between adverbial verb forms and comma intonation is discussed using the snowball technique. And I will give you first
4 minutes remaining.
I will give you first numerical data. Based on the input received from academicians, revisions have been made to certain activities, and the duration allocated for the activities has been extended. After the modifications were made, the activities were sent to the teachers. 70% of the interview teachers evaluated the activities as feasible, while 30% expressed that implementing the activities in already crowded classrooms will be challenging. While 90% of the teachers considered the duration of the activities to be sufficient, 10% expressed the need for an increase in the allocated time for the activities. 50% of the teachers expressed limitations regarding the activities, while the other 50% didn't specify any limitations. 60% of the teachers provided suggestions regarding the activities, while 40% didn't offer any suggestions. And you can see here feedback from teachers 1. According to this table, 3 individuals indicated the difficulty of implementing activities in crowded classrooms, and 1 individual articulated the necessity for an augmentation of the duration. And you can see also here findings and feedback from teachers 2. All the teachers identified that the activities are different from the ones in the textbooks, and the activities were reshaped based on the recommendation provided by 6 teachers. And you can see here feedback from academicians. And all the academicians determined that the activities would make a difference in verbal participle instruction and recognized that the activities were developed with a distinct approach from the ones in textbook. 1 academician, due to insufficient knowledge about pedagogical grammar, provided a neutral response to the initial question. And here are my references, some references. And also, thank you for listening. I am ready for questions. Thank you.